Welcome, everybody. I'm Chris. I'm so glad that you've joined us today for our Pure Performance pop-up event. These events give us the opportunity to speak with our incredible Olympians on the Pure Performance team, and also an opportunity to get motivated to live healthier lives. So please put in the chat what your plans are this week for taking action for healthier lives. Maybe that's some exercise, maybe a healthy recipe, something like that. We'd love to interact in the chat about that. And today, we have the amazing opportunity to speak with Sarah Elijah Scherer. And before we get to Sarah, I did want to say a few words about the Pure Performance team. The Shackley Performance team is a partnership we have exclusively with Olympic athletes. We have about 100 athletes on the team right now, 35 or more who are headed to Tokyo next year. And Carolyn, since you're with us and have been speaking already, could I invite you to say a few words about the significance of this partnership?
Sure, Chris.
Carolyn.
I mean, besides the honor of being connected with just such outstanding people, is for us in the Shackley business, I think the significance of this is there are two things that our primary customers are looking for, I believe. And that is, we're looking for products that are safe and products that work. And what better kind of a validation is there than to have 100+ Olympians who are drug tested all the time and have really put their entire athletic career on the line by trusting the Shackley products. So are the products safe? We've got 100 Olympians that have validated that. And do the products work? Well, there are 146 Olympic medals. That says a lot. That's like mini fractions of inches and split seconds that are the difference between being a medalist and being just a common Olympian. I mean, really. So for us as lay people, when we're thinking about, well, are these products safe for my child or for my grandparents? Well, yeah, I think we can say they're safe. And do they work? Well, yes, this is pretty good validation. So that's one of the honors that we get of being able to hang out with these great Olympians. So thanks, Chris.
Oh, thank you, Carolyn. Carolyn is one of the driving forces for this partnership over the years and has one of the most successful Shackley businesses. So thank you so much for being with us. It's an honor to have you here. So now we will introduce Sarah. Sarah is an Olympian, and she is our Pure Performance team nutritionist. Sarah has competed in 2 Olympic Games, London and Rio. Her main event is the 10-meter air rifle. But Sarah is a registered dietitian, an MBA with a focus on entrepreneurship and healthcare management. She coaches, and she's a fearless trail runner in the grizzly clad mountains of Montana. So I have so much admiration for Sarah, and I'm so thrilled that we can spend some time with you today. Welcome, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Carolyn. So good to see your face. It's been a while. Hi, Bill. Hi, everybody. Give me a handshake. You guys feeling good this morning? Yes, awesome. Good. Well, I'm so excited to be here with you guys this morning. And I have a couple of different things I want to share with you, but just to kind of lay the foundation for why I'm here, why I'm so excited to talk to you guys. As Chris mentioned, I am a registered dietitian. And so being a registered dietitian nutritionist, I get to talk about nutrition and health all the time, which is my passion. And so I love being able to hop on these calls with individuals who are also passionate about their health. And I also am a business owner. I have my MBA. And so I'm also passionate about being successful in business, achieving your goals in both your health and, financially and in your business, and just, what you believe that you can do. And so I love, talking to Shackley all the time because I'm really passionate about kind of both of those worlds. A couple other things to kind of, lay the groundwork. In my life, I have had lots of health issues that have happened when I was younger. So really my story of finding nutrition, it's a long one, so we don't need to get into all of it today. But it's one that showed me the power of nutrition and absolutely how important it is for us to learn about our bodies and to understand our bodies, and to understand that when we come to the table for taking care of our health for a course of a lifetime, it's absolutely important. Just like Carolyn said, we need to put things in our body that are pure and that work. So absolutely important. That goes for our food, that goes for our nutrition, that goes also for, you know, everything from our other aspects of our life, so our well-being, our exercise, etc. And so, you know, one of the things that I learned in my journey of health was that when we think about we think about the course of our life, and we think about what our body actually is. Our body is a house in really the most essential, like kind of broken down of it. Our bodies are the only house we'll get to live in every day of our life, every moment of our life for the rest of our life. It's more than our, you know, growing up house or a middle house or our future house that we're going to have. It's the house that we get to have it every single day of our life. Another thing that I've learned about our health is that it's an investment. So we always are talking about like, okay, how do we invest smartly? How do we, you know, take care of ourselves financially? It's like, but let's also talk about how do we invest in our health and in our body for the long term. We should be doing things right now for our health tomorrow and our health in the future and our health in, you know, 20 years from now or whatever it may be. And so kind of thinking about that investment, you know, one thing that I wanted to give you all kudos on today is being a part of a community that is focused on long-term investment in your health. Shackley is one of the reasons why I love working with Shackley, whether that's the Olympians and Paralympians, whether that's, you know, depending on where they are in their career, as well as working with everyone in Shackley, the Shackley family. Is this group of amazing individuals is so passionate about investing in our health and being able to have pure, effective products, but also talk about how important it is that we care for our bodies for the course of our life.
Could you give us a brief history of your Olympic journey? Like how did you get started and who inspired you along the way?
Yeah, great question. Thanks, Chris. You know, really a lot of my inspiration and kind of like my start was from just really knowing that our bodies can do so much for us. And so I've been inspired by so many athletes, as well as just individuals along the way who ask their body to do things that haven't really been done before. And also what comes with that, like the mental game side of it as well, like asking their body to do these amazing feats essentially, and to become, you know, kind of elite in the athletic performance of whatever that choosing may be. So there's so many individuals, I wouldn't necessarily be able to like spout them all off. And some of them are like, you know, small moments. I remember, you know, some athletes I was working with when I was in high school, and I was really impressed with them. You know, they weren't necessarily elite athletes, but I was really impressed with, you know, they had unique challenges. You know, maybe they were blind. A couple of those individuals were blind, or they were, you know, had some type of a challenge with their physical body, but yet they didn't let them stop them. They said, you know what, I'm going to push my body and I'm going to challenge myself and I'm going to challenge my mind. I'm going to continue to grow, expand. I'm going to invest in my future as an athlete, as a person, for my health. And those are the most inspirational people for me. And when I ran into my own challenges, you know, that's really how my whole story started, and how I found nutrition was those my health problems, and being able to learn about my body, change my body through the power of nutrition, through the power of Shackley, and be able to be put in a position where I could compete as an athlete through the course of my career. And so I just always am inspired by hearing every individual story and how they overcome those challenges. And they say, you know what, I'm not going to give up. No matter what, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to continue to press forward.
So how did you get started with shooting and the rifle? Like, how does that fit into your life? When were you introduced, and what was it that made you drive towards such accuracy and such high performance in that? I mean, you're a world and national champion. That's huge. Like, you're the best. You're the best of the best. And so, you know, I want to uncover, if you can, you know, like what drove you to such excellence in that sport?
Yeah, great question again. You know, really for me, it was about taking the the world, you know, kind of taking my world that I lived in and saying, you know, what can I make out of it? I was really excited when, you know, I heard, for instance, a fact about my sport that men and women can compete at the same level collegiately. And, you know, I had other sports that were, you know, separate male and female. And I really loved the idea that I could beat the guys and I could, you know, pursue something and excellence in something, but I can also be, you know, compared across all my peers, not necessarily just because I'm a female. So that was one thing that I absolutely loved about the sport of rifle shooting. Another thing too is it was really a balance for me between the technique that's required physically and the technique that's required mentally. And there's a lot of that balance between the two. You know, some sports are a little bit more, I would say, focused on like the physical strength, and, you know, maybe my body wasn't like destined to be really good at that sport just because, you know, my height or, you know, my bone density, right? Those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like this sport was a really effective balance for me and how I wanted to pursue and challenge myself mentally, you know, and then also to pursue training my body to a really minute, you know, level. One thing, to explain the finite level, you know, millimeters matter. So if your toe, your right pinky toe, you know, is scooted a little bit to the right or forward or left, like that's going to make a difference to where your alignment goes with your body. And then that's going to make a difference where you know, accurately hit. Another thing, you know, is your epiglottis. I don't know if you all know, we all have epiglottis. Glottis, I don't know actually know the plural name of that word, but when you breathe, it's opened up, and when you swallow, your epiglottis closes, so then, you know, the food or the liquid doesn't go down your trachea into your lungs. So it's like a little flap essentially that closes off your trachea. When I competed and when I go get focused in to take my shot, I physically can close my epiglottis so there's no airflow in and out of my lungs, which creates. And so when you think about that, it's like that's how fine-tuned my sport had to be. And the athletes that I work with now, you know, competing in the sport. And I loved that part. Like, I loved that part of it. I love that you could be so in tune with your body that you can manually, with your mind, close your epiglottis so you stop breathing and you can slow down your movement to that level. And so that kind of that's an example of what I love so much about the sport.
No, I love that. I've spoken with Bill a lot about how, you know, we don't necessarily think about shooting as a sport similar to like figure skating, but it really requires the same kind of perfection and accuracy, which is just astounding. And hearing about that, you know, the how you're able to control your breathing and your epiglottis, did I say that right? I'm curious, like how do you train for such body awareness, I guess, and positioning? So it's like physical and mental all at the same time. It's almost like you're in this, you know, like yoga or like being present. Like you have to be absolutely present, I would imagine. So what does it look like for you?
Yeah, though I love that you called out yoga, because it's really the way I describe my sport to somebody who's never seen it before, it's kind of like yoga with a rifle, really, because there's so many concepts of, you know, of breathing, calming your body, control, but also activation, you know, muscle control, but also the muscles being activated in a really, you know, consistent, calm state, but yet strong too. And so, you know, really how you train for that, you know, one is, of course, as always, repetition. As always, you know, thinking through and, you know, the way that you train is, I would always say, train smarter, not harder. Our bodies does have limits in the moment. I don't think our bodies have limits in the future, but in the current moment, in the present moment, we do have limits. And so it's about how do we maximize that very moment? You know, if I were to train in any sport, and I were to push myself to the very, very, you know, max of exhaustion, and then even farther past, I'm going to get injured. You know, there's like a limit to that. But what you can do is you can train smart and push yourself to the very limit just before that. So now you progress, you grow, and you say, you know what, you know, I'm not going to push myself too hard where I'm going to get injured, but I'm going to push myself just enough where I'm getting challenged and I'm learning that muscle memory. And that goes for any sport and any, you know, exercise. It goes with running 100%. You know, Chris, you'd mentioned I'm a trail runner now, and I love being outdoors, and it's just my passion. And I found exactly that same thing, you know, when I'm thinking about my every single step I take, you know, on the hiking trail, is being able to, how do I improve that very next step? You know, how do I make my body more efficient that next step? How do I breathe in a way where I can get the maximum amount of oxygen and, you know, CO2 exchange in that very next moment? How do I hydrate myself or eat some nutrition right now so that I can be my very best for the next moment? And it's just really that progression as you go, and dedication and saying, you know what, I'm not going to give up.
So Sarah, could you take us into your mind, into your body? What's happening when you're going into an Olympic competition? The stakes are so high. What was that process like? What are you thinking about? How do you get yourself past like doubt or nervousness, any of those things, to be able to get into that space?
Yeah. You know, it's definitely unique to each person, but I can give you guys what my what I feel like carries forward for every person. Mm-hmm. And you hit on the nail on the head there when you're talking about self-doubt and confidence going into the competition, whatever it may be. You know, for me, my personal focus was on the work that I've already done. I have worked my butt off to get here. I have worked harder than my competitors. I have pushed myself just enough in a smart way, but not too much, right? I pushed myself to be the very best in this moment that I can be, and staying present with that. You know, being able to be in a place mentally where you're focused on what you need to do, not what necessarily is going to happen in the future or the outcome, because you can't control that. You know, there's nothing about the future we can control. And so just being able to say, in this present moment, how can I be the best version of myself as an athlete, best version mentally, best version emotionally, so I can manage everything that comes through the flow of the competition. And another thing, you know, to kind of keep in mind is being also appreciative and thankful. That was really important for me, knowing that it's really a blessing to be able to compete at an elite level and do anything like with our body. Not everybody gets that opportunity. And so being able to say, you know, thank you, body. Thank you that I can actually do this, and I can be really present in this moment and be, you know, kind of takes anything that's like a negative pressure into a positive pressure that's positive and is about the, you know, experience and, you know, growth as a human being as well. And that was really important for me, like as a person, and kind of turning it to the positive light when I would feel some of that kind of pressure come on. Be like, you know what? I'm thankful that I have this pressure. And this is such a cool, awesome thing I get to do. Like, I love that I get to compete against other elite athletes. And I love that it comes down to tiny little millimeters, closing my epiglottis.
Yes, exactly. So you spoke, there's the recognition of the work you've put in, and then also kind of the recognition of the joy and the blessing of being able to use your body for, you know, in these very precise ways. And I feel like you have, like with that gratitude, you've also had some challenges. And this kind of merges with your Shackley story in a way. Could you give us some insight into, you know, kind of the big challenges that you've faced, you know, in being able to compete?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, I would say that the biggest things that have influenced, you know, my health, I've managed chronic migraines since I was 5. And in right around, you know, 13, 14 age, when my doctor gave me a diagnosis as well for tremors. And so essentially they said, you have essential tremors. There's nothing we can do about it. And as you know, if my sport is such where I have to close my epiglottis to stay as still as possible, right? Shaky hands doesn't work out very well. So, that was essentially, that was the end for my career. I had tremors. Nobody had anything to do, no like solution, no answer, except taking a really strong medication called a beta blocker. And that was the one medication in my sport that no matter for whatever reason, you can't take it because it slows down your body. It calms your body. And so it's literally like, the dream essentially for a rifle athlete. And, my doctor said, hey, this is my only option. If you take this, like you're going to give up in your career, but this is my only answer. And I told my doctor, I was, you know what? I'm not a diagnosis. I'm not just a stamp and a label that you can put on me to say, I'm this and you're stuck with this for the rest of your life. And so that's really, that moment was when I said, I'm going to study, I'm going to learn about my body. I'm also going to just learn about the sources of like what my body actually needs for fuel. And that's how I went to nutrition and supplementation, and then found Shackley. And the really amazing blessing, another blessing in my life, over the last even course of the years, they continued to improve as I fine-tune my own nutrition for my own body, and as our bodies change year to year. And so I have the lowest amount of migraines I've ever had in my life right now. So it's a wonderful season. I'm very thankful for it. Another part of my physical challenges is I have a total of 8 herniated or bulging discs in my back. So lots of challenges that come with that. But really what is such a testament to the power of nutrition, the power of taking care of your body, and Shackley too, is how quickly I had 2 back surgeries between my London and Rio Olympics, 2 back surgeries. And I was able to still turn around my recovery and put myself in a position where I could make the Olympic team. And my doctors, they said, you know what, this is the fastest recovery we've ever seen. They were so shocked and impressed with, how quickly my body was healing, everything from the tissue, as well as just keeping my immune high. I was able to travel and stay healthy, even post-surgery and everything else. So again, power of nutrition and the power of Shackley is paramount. And those are two moments of my life that kind of spoke to that.
Awesome. So but I do have one more question I want to ask you. If you still have time, Sarah, I want to turn it over to Carolyn and Bill, my co-hosts, for a question. But so we've traveled, we've corresponded, a lot with the Shackley work that you've done for us. In your signature, you have a verse from the New Testament, Ephesians 3:20-21. And I've never asked you the significance of that. And so we're here today. And so I want to ask you if you could tell us about that.
Yeah, I love that, Chris. For me, it's really, that verse speaks to, my faith as a Christian, but it also speaks to how important it is for us to be thankful for what we receive in life, no matter, whatever course of life we're in or religion we believe in or whatever it may be, just also being present in the moment, being thankful for what we have is so important. It's important for how we manage the challenges that come our way, being resilient to stress. It's so important to be able to take on, whatever it may come, the lows and the highs, and create something good out of it for ourselves and for humanity. And for me, that verse kind of speaks to, there's so many things that have happened in my life that I can't control, but there's so many things that are so wonderful and beautiful in my life that I just have to be thankful for. And my story isn't over. And I love that verse because it speaks to like a hope and excitement for the other good things coming down, and how I can, have a trust in, my good loving Father, and my trust in, God as a whole, being able to know that he has my back and I'll be able to kind of go forward with that hope and go forward, with that excitement for the future, or whatever it may be.
Oh, thank you for that. And I see a part of you exercising that hope is in your mentoring and your coaching of other athletes. I'm curious, what you, as that coach kind of perspective, what is it in someone else that you identify as maybe a spark or a desire that you're able to help feed and guide? Like, how do you recognize that?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest thing that I get really maybe excited about, or when I see it, I see that like that with myself, and I really love like helping an athlete pursue that part, is their quality of like self-improvement. Oftentimes, like there is kind of a built-in inherent quality that individuals have of self-improvement. And speaking with all of you all today, I know that you guys are probably in that group because you're here, right? Because of what you're doing with your body, exercising, running, also being in the Shackley family. It's really focused on, some individuals are really passionate about self-improvement. And I love seeing that, because then there's no end to that, right? Like it's always about improving, always about being better. And when I throw a challenge at an athlete who is focused on self-improvement, like they're going to take it on. They're going to be like, yes, I'll do that. And I'll do it even more. And that makes me really excited. I'm not having to carry their weight and drag them along. So that's probably the biggest thing that I see in all sports, across everything, is just how can we be better?
And again, I can't stop, but I will stop now. So I'm gonna throw it over to Carolyn and Bill, and then we will wrap up.
Just a real quick question, Sarah. How did you make your connection with Shackley? What was what brought you together with Shackley?
Yeah, great question, Carolyn. So there was a couple different points in my life. One, when I was young, when I was just, kind of going through that health experience.
Younger.
Yeah, younger. Yeah. Oh, Carolyn, you're too funny. But yeah, so when I was younger and I was discovering my own health, story and journey and what I needed for my own body, I, found Shackley through a friend, and she was involved with the Shackley community and everything else. And I loved how whenever I would talk with her, like everything that she would, we'd be talking about like a grocery store run or a stop sign, and somehow it would come back to Shackley. It was like her Shackley was her life. And I loved that. I loved how passionate she was. And that's kind of was my first introduction to Shackley, and when I first started using some of the products. And then continued even going forward, like through my athletic career, I was, involved with athletes, that were always trying to find solutions for nutrition. And then, so, Shackley was what I was like, this is what we can trust. This is what we can use and be athletes being tested, potent, it's pure, and we can trust it. And then that's kind of the third iteration of that was when I introduced to Eli. And so Eli had actually connected on quite a few different moments in the Olympic circle. And I reached out to him. He was talking about, some of his kind of passionate things of improving our sports and improving the Olympic and Paralympic communities. And I said, you know what? I was like, I'm going to give this guy a message. He is doing such good work for the Olympic and Paralympic movement. And so I sent him a message, and I said, hey, Eli, like, it's been a while. Like, thank you for your work. And I also said, like, kudos with your work with Shackley. I love Shackley. I'm an RD, da, 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 da. And that was just kind of like sparked everything of just, you know what? We need to get her, working with our athletes. We need to get her working with Shackley more. And that's kind of how it came to be the Pure Performance Dietitian, and kind of that whole thing unfolding and us being able to chat today.
Great.
Thank you so much. And then Bill Roy, our Olympian Bill Roy, ski shooter Bill Roy, and Pure Performance Team Director. Let's turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Sarah and Chris and everyone for joining. I'm going to actually defer to anyone else in the audience. Sarah and I go back. I think I met you first in Beijing in 2008, so it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I'm going to defer, and thank you so much for amazing inspiration, not just in this call, but every single day of your life.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Thank you. You are an inspiration as well. Your work ethic, and you're determined to always be better. I am inspired by it, so thank you.
Wonderful. Do we have any questions from the audience for Sarah? We are over time, so Sarah.
There's a Laura. There's a Laura that's been wanting to ask.
Oh yes, Laura. Laura, why don't if you can unmute yourself? There we are. What's your question?
What's your your favorite like snack bar or life shake?
Yes.
Question.
Well, I'll give you two answers because I can't live without either of these products.
Right.
So one is the Hydrate Plus. I am obsessed. I use it every day. It is the best. I'm not very good at drinking water, and so I need some incentive to drink my water. And I love the flavor of Hydrate Plus. So that's number one. And then very close number two is Life Shake. It is the most, I don't know, maybe like peace giving like supplement for me. You know, I can take just like 2 seconds, throw a smoothie together, and I can trust that I'm getting really good balance of nutrients, obviously quality of nutrients, purity, but also just really good balance. And it's so, so important. There's no recipe out there that I've been able to find that gives you that amount of quick, good energy, effective energy to stabilize your sugar, to give you energy, to even go into a workout, to even just go into your normal day and just make sure that you're taking care of your body in like 2 seconds. So that's like my staple of life, is just throwing a quick Life Shake together, chug, and it's delicious, of course. So yeah, those are my two.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your question, Laura. Okay, so I believe that we need to wrap now. But
can
Sarah,
I ask one question?
Oh, yes. Is this Carmen?
Yes.
Carmen,
Hi.
absolutely. Carmen is joining us from Colorado. She is a runner and a martial artist, and just incredible.
It's one question that I have. So shooting, every time you go to a shooting range, the first shot, your heart just races, and it's like some type of fear because it's weapons are powerful. So I guess my question would be, how do you do your first shot? Because every time if I do my first shot, you have where you have to do it, and usually it's super out of it. So you have to be so good at the first one, but your heart is just like, so I guess it's like a technique, or is the same what you just saying? Anyway, I was just like, how did you do that? It takes me like 10 shots, 10 bullets until I can get it.
Yeah, such a good question. And that goes, I feel like that goes for even like the start of anything, the start of like some new thing that you're doing. Even like I even get like a little bit nervous, like when you're going on a big trip and you have to have everything planned. It's kind of like that first moment of the starting moment. There's like a lot riding on it in a way. And so, the way I manage that in my sport and kind of that unique piece of my sport was really focusing in on, so following the actions I would take with that shot without taking the shot. So really kind of walking myself through the experience of what I wanted the outcome to be. So like the whole process of how to control my body well, my breathing, what I needed to do with my visualization, going through the whole process, walking through it moment by moment as if it was real, and then executing it, but not actually really pulling the trigger, and then coming back off that moment and taking a couple deep breaths. And so really you're preparing yourself for what you want to happen. You're essentially visualizing and walking through the experience. So in that way, when you actually decide, okay, this time I'm going to pull the trigger, you've already done it 5 times, 10 times in the last little while. So you're good. Like you've already gone through those first 10 shots because you've already done that in your head and through the physical movements of it. So really that first shot is like your 11th. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yes, absolutely. Thank you. My husband and I, we've been trying to go again, so now I'm going to try it. And if I hit it, I'll let you know. Thank you. You are amazing. Thank you. Very, very. I'm glad I'm in the call. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Great to chat with you. Great question.
Anyone else? Last chance to ask our amazing Sarah a question.
I got a question in here from Pam's iPhone. Would Hydrate Plus be well to use during the Prove It challenge? I would say, yeah, definitely. Depends on your kind of your unique like body, how much you're exercising, what your nutrition needs are. But when I completed the Prove It Challenge, I definitely did. It also depends on if you're talking about during the cleanse or not during the cleanse as well. But as a whole, yes, 100%. I use Shaklee, Hydrate Plus every day. And so I would say yes. I can't go without it. So that's my answer.
I agree 100%. Okay, we have a question from Andrew, who is joining us from Phoenix. He is an avid runner, and he has a trail running question. So, so any advice for trail runners well, Andrew, I want you to ask it. Why am I talking?
Sure, I can do that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, super inspired by that. But yeah, just any general advice for trail runners, and then also what kind of foods do you like to eat as a runner now?
Yeah, super good question. So for me, I guess one of the things for trail running is it's hard to explain it, but I kind of touched on a little bit. It's like, how do we position our bodies, but also dealing with like the contour of the trail and like the conditions, weather and everything else, and like putting our body in the best like efficient position. And this goes with like, normal running too. But like when I'm thinking of how do I take the next step, I'm thinking of, okay, should I like push off with my toe to get onto the next boulder, because that's actually going to put myself in a more stable position. Say if I'm like on a really like, rocky trail, and that's like a really big rock that's going to be stable. I know that's not going to like slip and I'm going to lose my momentum a little bit, right? So it's like those little micro decisions throughout the course add up in the long run, like add up when you're thinking, okay, maybe I make every step, 5% more efficient. You're going to be able to go a lot longer, and you're going to be able to be a lot faster by the end. And there's so many things to that, even just when it comes to your second question of fueling. Like, how do you fuel in an efficient way where you're not too fueled, where you're like feeling a sloshing in your stomach or feeling like kind of that rock in your stomach, but also being able to make sure you have plenty of nutrition as you go forward. For me, I actually really like liquid nutrition, or kind of like softer nutrition. So I'm not as much of a big fan of like, I don't know how to explain it, like really like whole, like if I were to say, for instance, I'm going to take like a piece of bread, when I'm on the trail, I'm going to take something that can be digested a little bit more quickly, and I'm going to fuel more regularly. So I like having more food more often versus like a bigger meal like midway through my trail run or something like that. So I'm always about like the little bite here or the liquid sources here. So I, have on all of my like outdoor adventures, I take Life Shake with me so I can chug when I need that. And it's also super quick, easy on the go. You can just add water into your, Life Shake and you're good to go. It can be shelf stable and everything else too. Those are kind of my favorite things. So like eating what you prefer in small amounts as you go, so you get that consistent nutrition. And then I use Life Shake all the time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Andrew, for your question. And Sarah, I'm just amazed at the precision. Again, there's the precision that you have in all approach to life, I think. Okay, so question from Elsie. From a dietitian and nutritionist perspective, if someone wants to talk to a dietitian in their life about Shaklee and sharing Shaklee with them, like what kind of things from your perspective, can they talk about or share? What would be most attractive to them?
Yeah, really good question. So from, really my approach when I'm talking about Shaklee from more like the RD world, is just being able to show and describe how little nutrition we actually get in our lives. I'm sure you guys have seen the image of like how many nutrients, like how much food you would need to eat in a day to be able to get the same amount of vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients what's in a Life Strip or a Vitalizer, right? Like it's like I can't eat that in one day. Like I would literally be eating every single moment of my day, which isn't possible. But then also too, like those are foods I don't necessarily even have access to, or the food that you even have access to is so depleted of nutrients. You know, the way we produce food, you know, it's really sad. It's unfortunate, but it is how it exists right now. It's just our food is so stripped of good nutrients, and it's stripped of those vitamins and minerals. You know, our food grown is not as potent and as, you know, as intense in those vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients as it used to be. And so, you know, I'm a registered dietitian. I have a fantastic diet myself, but I still know it's essential for me to take my life strip. I take life strip, and I do a life strip every day. It's so important. And that's coming from a nutrition expert, you know, and I love cooking, and I love, you know, getting all these exciting foods, but yet that's not enough. Our body needs more. Another thing, you know, that I like to kind of talk about, it's not about like what's like, you know, average or okay. You know, that's why I don't really necessarily like RDAs. So, you know, a recommended daily allowances that are put out. It's like, sure, that's like for the average person that has like mediocre health. It's not about having the best health, and it's not about pushing your body to see how good it can be. You know, I like living in the world of like optimum, and I like living in the world of like living well, not living average, right? So I think those are kind of the differences there. I want to be the best I can be. I want my body to be the best I can be. I want to take care of it and be thankful for it. And so that's why, you know, nutrition is absolutely important, and, you know, why I choose Shackley.
Thank you, Sarah. That was so, I love that perspective. Like, I don't want a mediocre life either. So I want the best, and I want to push the limits of my potential, and Shackley can help take me there. Definitely. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to wrap now. Sarah, you've been so generous with your time. I will offer you the last word, but before that, I do want to thank everybody for joining us from whatever time zone you're in and whatever part of the country. And we have visitors from Canada and from the Caribbean as well. So welcome, and thank you so much for being part of our call today. I do want to encourage you to reach out to the person who invited you here, and you know, try some of these incredible products that Sarah has been talking about. And I also encourage you to take our Meology, which is a new innovative product we have with Shackley. It's personalized nutrition. So it's the Life Strip, it's the Vitalizer that Sarah has talked about, but it's personalized for you according to your family history, your diet, and your nutrition needs. So please give that a try. Okay, so thank you once again. Next week, we will take a break for the Thanksgiving holiday, but then we'll be back on the 5th with USA diver Amy Kozad Magana from Indiana. And so we're really excited to have her with us. So with that, Sarah, I want to offer you the last word to send us off on our weekend and our holidays.
Yeah, oh, I love that. Well, thank you all, everybody on this call today. I also, you know, just want to say, you being here, learning about nutrition, saying, you know what, my health and my body is a priority, and I want to invest in it, says a lot already. So thank you for that. You know, and kind of on that same vein, you know, I think it's so important for us, no matter where we are in life, no matter, you know, what might be your day tomorrow, your holiday season come up, whatever it may be, is just knowing that we can do things right now. You know, let's not stress about the future. You know, let's not worry or like reminisce or hold on to things in the past. Like, let's live in the present moment and say, you know, what can we do for our health right now? And how can we be better humans in this day right now?
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so everyone, please unmute and say goodbye. Really enjoyed having you all with us here today.
Thanks, Scherer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for joining us.
Sarah.
Awesome call.
Sarah, you're a bright light. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a
Love
great
you,
rest of
Sarah.
the day.
Love you.
Happy Thanksgiving.